this in case I want to walk around?
You can actually ask them the question.
Yeah, okay. All right, so first question.
What's that?
Oh, that's yours. My bad.
Is that going to cause feedback? Who wrote?
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to mess you up. How we doing? All right. Excited. This is a fun week, exciting week. Obviously, first SEC game. You know, when you get into conference play, just is a little bit different. And the first game is always critical to get the conference. The conference schedule, you get that underway, you get a win, and it kind of catapults you in the right direction. You're not fighting an uphill battle the rest of the season. So it's obviously going to be a really big game for us. Hopefully, like I said after the game, I was really pleased with the crowd turnout with our fans, and hopefully you see the excitement get even a bigger crowd this week, more home field advantage, even louder, rowdier atmosphere for the kickoff of SEC play. Going to be a tough game, obviously. You know, you look at Kentucky and what Mark's done there. And you watch even in game one, you just see you see what type of team they are, where they fall behind at home in a home opener in a game I think probably most people think they should win. And you watch their team, just no panic. You know, I mean, you see that it's a team that has expectations. They've learned how to win. They know how to win and did what it takes to come back and win the game last week. So they got a lot of talented players, a lot of returning starters, a very veteran defense. The guys that have played a lot of football, have some playmakers on offense. Great running back, bunch of guys out there in the perimeter. So it'll be a great challenge. I think both teams are very familiar. You know, we're very obviously, they're familiar with the personnel here from playing them every single year, and then they're familiar schematically with that being a team that I've played every year for the last 9 years as a head coach. So, but it should be a fun day. Should be a great day in the Swamp. We're welcoming back the '93 SEC championship team. So another reason people to come and see those guys. So it'd be exciting. It'll be another fun day. That's what you work hard for, those game days.
Just the elephant in the room, the 31-year streak. Is that something that you address with the team, or you kind of just avoid that this week?
I don't know what that has to do with the game this week. You know, I mean, our guys didn't have a whole lot to do with that. You know, and neither the guys on their team, nobody. So is what it is. I don't think that has any effect on this week's game. You know, I mean, it's going to be two good teams going out to go play each other and go play.
Hey Dan, what you're right. Like what happened in the past has no bearing or doesn't really matter. But is there like an added pressure though, like on you or like on your perspective from like going into something like this?
No, I don't look at it. You know, I mean, I imagine someday the streak will be broken. I mean, that's just the nature of sports, right? So, I don't want to be the one that does it. You know, I'm confident we want to go win the game because it's the first. You know, I mean, to me, I want to win the game because it's our SEC opener for this season, and that's got to be the whole focus and not worry about anything else. I try not to think about it in those terms because it really has no effect on us winning or losing the game this year.
So now that you've reviewed the film, what are some of your key takeaways?
I was pleased. You know, if you look, within the game, I thought offensively we played well in the first half. I think we started giving a lot of other guys got in the game for some opportunities in the second half. And I think it'd be a great learning experience to show them where they need to go and see why they're not a starter. And things they need to improve on to get ready to be better players. Defensively, similar deal. And, our first 6 drives were 3 and outs. Then we had a couple missed tackles. We give up a long run at the end of the first half, but our defense, draws a line in the sand, makes a stop, doesn't give up any points. And and then second half, a lot of younger guys, a lot of guys got to get on the field and get their first action or for some of them, first time ever, or, and they haven't, a lot of guys that hadn't played much in the past get out there on the field, and we get to go teach that and coach off of it and show what's expected of when you get out there on the field.
And another one, what's the origin of the jump pass here? I mean, that's a pretty old school thing. That goes back
Yeah.
to guys in the 50s, 60s.
Well, you know what it went back to was, for us, we used to, when we were at the University of Utah, our Alex Smith was not a running quarterback. I mean, he was, really good at, some read option stuff, and he could pull it. You see him even today, he can pull it, and he's fast enough to run around the edge, but he's not kind of a between the tackles power runner, dynamic runner. So we did a bunch of direct snap stuff. We'd put our tailback there and snap it to him. We'd put a guy named Ben Moa was the tight end. We'd snap it to him. And so we had a play in the goal line where we would direct snap to it was Ben Moa, and he'd power away, and then said, hey, they're going to just, as soon as you snap it to him, everybody is going to, because they're not going to think he's going to throw it, and we had a jump pass off of it. And we called it for the 2-point conversion to win the game in double overtime at Air Force is the first time we called. We'd pounded it in like 3 times in a row with Ben. Every time we'd run it just off tackle, and he had just scored the tying touchdown. It was the overtime. You had to maybe it was third. You had to go for 2. We stopped that. They scored. We stopped their 2-point conversion, and we scored by pounding it in with Ben doing it, and then we called the jump pass, and we hit it.
Pretty cool. Did the last thing on that, though, is you showed it against a team that you guys were going to win handily against, but is it kind of a misnomer that play's kind of potentially burned because it's kind of a run-pass option?
No, I mean, they got to defend it. It's like any run-pass option in plays. We'll run some quarterback run. When we run quarterback run, they still got to be ready to defend the pass with the play-action aspect of it all.
How much of it was you making your debut and wanting to bring some life back and some energy and
part
show
of
the
it.
fans that, hey, this is what we
I think
do?
Brian called it, Brian Johnson. He's like, hey, let's run the jump pass here. I'm like, great, call it, go. So, our guys that communicate together, and he's like, hey, this is a great spot for it. We've been run. We drove the ball down the field. We got him. And it's going to look like it's a quarterback run type of situation. You saw them; they all pounded into the line of scrimmage, and it was an easy completion.
So are you 4 for 4 in games with it?
Oh no, we've missed some.
Okay.
I've called it. Yeah, you guys just haven't watched me enough over the last 9 years. We've called it several times in those games. So didn't always work. But it worked on Saturday.
And then what can one game, can it change the mentality in the locker room? You see the post-game celebrations. Chauncey comes in here today, and I'm guaranteed a win for Saturday already. Can one game do something to a program from a confidence standpoint?
No, I think it just, for our guys, I think hopefully they're more confident now understanding the routine and what we're trying to ask of them. Like I said, I thought they were really good on Friday and Saturday, which how they handled Friday and Saturday, which I think that can give confidence to the guys. We'll get after them today because Monday to Thursday's got to be a lot better. But I think when you go through, a week of practice and then you get to Friday and how they built up their confidence and then went out on the field and performed, I think that can help you be more comfortable going into this, going into the every game week, because now they know what to expect from this week, from us, from the coaches, and what they need to do. We just have to do it a lot better.
Dan, coaches are much better at keeping things in context relative to opponents. Is that something you got to sell to players? I mean, I know they know that Kentucky is a lot better team than Charleston Southern, but what y'all did and how easily you went up and down the field sometimes, is there a balance there with you don't want them not to be confident or whatever, but
No, I think they understand that. I mean, they know who we're playing, and they know it's a conference game. So I mean, it's we'll talk about being an SEC game, and that makes it different. And so we'll talk about that a little bit, but a lot of it's going to be is we got to concentrate on ourselves. I think. I do like that our guys have confidence in what we did, but we also have to understand what we got to be a lot better. Not just because Kentucky's a lot better than Charleston Southern. We have to be a lot better if we want to be a good football team within our preparation during the week.
And to expound on something you said after the game the other day about the blocked extra point after they ruined the shutout, just is that a teaching moment that you can show the
was-
guys in
those-
terms of putting that last play behind you?
The two block kicks where I talked to our guys about, those to me were the two of the best plays in the game, because like we gave up a long run. I think guys want a shutout right before halftime. We try to draw a line in the sand. We play physical. We get a stop, make a play, are able to get a stop, and then the effort and the strain on those two plays. Then you give up a touchdown later in the game, and to come out and play with that effort, that's what we asked for. I don't care what the score is. I don't care what time of the game. Our effort should never change. It shouldn't be like, hey, this is a big play, so I'll go hard on this play. That means if you do that, means you can pick and choose when you go hard. I don't want that in our program. We don't choose when we go hard. All we do is go hard every snap, every game, every play, and whatever it is we're doing, the effort level should never change. And so it was great to see that in times when there maybe was some disappointment on the field of where we were or what had happened, that we didn't let that affect the effort we gave on the next play.
Hey, Dan. One more jump past one. What are the keys to executing it well?
Well, one is it's kind of when you call it. You got to set it up a little bit and get them not expecting it. So that helps. Two, there's a timing aspect to it for the quarterback and how they jump. Like we traveled a couple times, I think, during the week. The first time they were doing it, like I was like, they jumped and like, I don't know. It was kind of funny. I'm like, you just jump and throw the ball. It's really not that complicated. I think all of those have stuff to do with it and how you set it up and a lot of times with plays when you're going, you're kind of going to trick plays or like a deceptive type play. It's not really the scheme as much as it is when you call it is more important than what you're doing. I'm setting them up for this reverse pass. I'm setting them up for the jump pass. I'm setting them up for the fumble rooski or whatever it is. It's more of a when you call it and is it at the right situation. Yeah, we've run that. Right? You can't really, you can't put the ball on the ground and have the line pick it up anymore, but you have one that, right? You have the one, where you put the tiniest, shortest guy on your team, and he, hides underneath behind the guard, and the quarterback puts it between his legs, and then he tries to hide and run out the other way. Oh, I've watched a lot of people do it. I've done it. We did it. It didn't work. I must have called it at the wrong time. I've probably done it with Rainey. I do Mississippi State. I know that. It's all about when you call those things.
Oh, sorry. To see Malik Davis make that cut on that one play, just on that knee, and then to get hit later in the game and bounce right up. That had to. How great that was to see that, because we all wondered how healthy.
Sean, I was great with that. I like the hit better than the cut. Because I've been watching him run and make cuts, but I think for a confidence thing, when you take a big hit on the leg like he did later in the in the game, at whatever point it was, I think that would give him a lot of confidence that, hey, I'm kind of back, because he's been running and cutting for a while. I know in a game it's different, but then when you take a big hit like that, I think that could build some confidence for him.
And also, the fact that how important special teams are to you. How much did that come from Urban, or did that come from somewhere else in your background to stress them?
Well, I think a lot from Urban, and then when you become a head coach, to me the biggest thing you realize is that if I'm not stressing it, these guys aren't recruited to play special teams. Zach Carter blocked the field goal attempt. In his mind, I'm recruited to rush the passer. I'm a defensive end. I'm here to get sacks and make big plays on the defense, not special teams plays. If I'm Damian Pierce, big tackle on the kickoff coverage. In his mind, he's thinking, I came here to run the ball, not tackle people on kickoff coverage. But as long as a head coach is the one that is sending the message of how important special teams are, the rest of the team's going to buy in. If I make it that it's not that big a deal, well, they're certainly going to make it not that big a deal because that's not what they were recruited here for. So that makes it a huge thing.
When you have a guy like Benny Snell, how much of your game plan really does have to center around him?
Well, I mean, a bunch, but I mean, you got to be sound. They have some playmakers. They have guys on the outside. They got a young athletic quarterback that came in, a guy that we recruited as well, and he can obviously is dynamic. And if the problem comes if you put all your attention on one guy, it's the other guys, the other weapons that go out there and beat you. But he's a great running back. So, to be successful, to beat him, if you don't stop him and stop them running the football, you're going to be in for a long day, So you have got to put some emphasis on being able to stop the run.
And then also, we saw Megan going up to the guys after the game, giving T.J. Slayton a kiss on the cheek. Felipe said that you can't have a bad day when she's around. How much is
That's
she
why I'm always happy, right?
How much is that intentional to implement her into this staff, so to speak, and how much is just her personality?
Well, I mean, it's who she is, and I mean, if you look at her when I became head coach, it was a decision we made. I mean, when we were here before, she was the main anchor at the Golf Channel. We had a discussion at one point. Hey, if Good Morning America calls, or one of those calls, could be coaching a poly prep high school in Brooklyn or something right now. But the opportunity when I became a head coach, we would go all in one or the other. And when I became a head coach, she was all in because it's really a two-person job. She does such a great job. I'm probably tough on people, and she's a lot more loving than I am on everybody. But she's like the co-head coach when it comes to trying to be around the players and and pick them up. And she's always positive, always has a smile on her face. But that's who she is, not just around the players, around, she does that for me, always puts a smile on my face. So whenever I get home and all that, it's always fantastic. And so I think it's a huge help, and I think it's a major part of our program.
Obviously, the results, the points, touchdowns look good. When you go back and watch the film, what were some of the things you'd like to clean up?
Let's see. The second half, there's a lot of things we have to clean up. I do think we have to tackle a little bit better on defense. Offensively, I think we need to run the ball a little bit better, a little cleaner, just a little bit cleaner in some of our assignments in covering people up within the blocking schemes. I think, just technique-wise, it's not a schematic, not guys going on the wrong way and all that, just some little technique things that the guys got to learn to translate. When you're in a game, you get it. It's still all about technique and execution. It's got to carry over from practice onto the game. How's it? There's just all little things that are not uncommon. That haven't done in a while. You see the guys, in practice, you do it again in a game. You're all like, oh, it's a game, and you're off a step. You're one step short on a route. You don't run properly. You don't stretch on a block far enough. That stuff. You can get out of a gap defensively because you're trying to go make a play instead of just be sound and doing your responsibilities. So just those things that transition into translating what we're done from practice, what our scheme is, translating it to that opponent and executing it on game day with the excitement and energy of the game.
Kyle Trask, how would you assess how he did?
Boy, I thought he did really well. I would have liked to have gotten him some more reps. I wanted to give an opportunity for everybody to get in the game. And they're a triple option team, so you don't know. The game could get short, and we didn't get a lot of snaps in the second half offensively. A lot of that was our doing. But I thought, when Kyle was in there, I thought he did a great job. His first play, the ball gets launched over his head, and he manages to get us back into field goal range. He ends up scoring a touchdown on another drive. So I thought he did a really good job.
And Rayshard Jackson stepped in pretty well, had
Yeah.
a nice game. I mean, that's valuable depth. Obviously, it's depth you expect to continue to use.
Well, it is. I mean, I want to. I'd love to have 30 defensive players we feel comfortable out rotating. And we got to get to that number. I don't think we're there yet, but I mean, I'd like to get it that way. But one of the things I told the guys for the game, you'll see, and it was a great opportunity that we did get to play a lot of guys. Guys didn't get tons of reps, and all of a sudden, like, I'm tired. We get a lot of reps at practice, coach. I said, okay, well, just get ready because when in practice needs to be harder than the game. Because when you get in the game, there's not that many reps, and if you don't go hard on them, you're going to get less next week. If whoever's going the hardest is going to get the most reps, and so your 15 to 20 reps could drop to 10 to 15 next week if you don't play really hard. And so, that'll be a learning curve for some of our guys of how to translate how hard they need to go on game day.
Back to the left, coach.
Just, do you have a injury update on David Reese and the rest of the guys?
Yeah. So, fortunately, we got out of the game extremely healthy. David, we were hoping he'd be back this week. So, I got to get with our training staff on him. They thought, but I don't think he's going to practice early in the week. Hopefully, at the end of the week, he could be ready to go. Sean's going to be out again. Sean Davis will be out again this week. CJ McWilliams, we expect back at practice early this week. Is that good? Yeah, he came back. Yeah, he did. I think he was, but he came back in. Yeah, Copeland's going to be another week or two, I think.
10 different guys caught a pass and 10 different had a rush. Is that a number that will be consistent every week, or kind of just trying to get guys in?
We try to take what defense gives us. So, I've got that, to the point of instead of saying, hey, we'll have some stuff, we'll have some get-it-to stuff to try to get certain guys the ball. But when we get into a lot of the pass game, we'll try to take, and I try to coach the quarterbacks, take what the defense gives us. We're not going to, we'll call it get it to somebody. Don't force it in. If they're bracketing or doubling one guy, we just go on to the next, get into the second or third read of the play. If they're doubling your first read and just execute the offense that way. I love rotating players. Obviously, some of the guys maybe got more playing time because of the result in the second half and some of those touches and carries. But moving forward, I do, I love, you look at the running backs. I thought they all ran the ball pretty well. And it gives you the opportunity to keep it fresh. I guess, unfortunately, might not see one running back with huge numbers. But the running back position as a whole could put up big numbers running the ball. The same with the receiver position to keep keep guys fresh and playing fast. So I like rolling guys through with take what the defense gives us. So, there are weeks some guy might have 10 catches because that's just what they're giving us. There are other weeks you might have 10 different guys with catches because that's what they're giving us. And it's kind of a week-to-week deal.
Felipe said beginning when you first brought the RPOs into the offense that it was mind-boggling to him. At what point did you see it maybe click for the quarterbacks, or is it still clicking?
Yeah, it's getting there. It's clicking. I see some clicks here and there. We tried to keep it pretty simple for them in game one, and early on. I mean, we like I said, when we put in the whole playbook, you have a foundation. Each week we'll pull parts of that out for them, for the quarterbacks, and try not to go overboard with too much, and put too much on him until he's comfortable learning everything and operating within the offense. I thought, overall, I thought he threw the ball well. I thought his decision making, one or a couple here and there, but I don't think he made a bad decision. I thought he had one wrong read, and a couple, I wouldn't say bad decisions. He could have done something different, but I wouldn't put it in a bad. So overall, I thought he made really good decisions throwing the ball.
I know he was pretty limited in camp, Brett Heggie. What did you see from him in terms of grading out from the game?
Yeah, I don't think he graded out, so he's got a ways to go to get on the field.
pretty impressive weekend for the conference, albeit some of it against lesser competition. What are your thoughts on the league here? And I think 9 teams scored 45 points.
Yeah.
At least 45.
Yeah. I mean, this. What is this?
Is it here we go again?
This is my 14th year in this league, so I think what I always think, I mean, you're in this league, you better buckle it up. The thing that makes the SEC different is, there you can look and say, hey, the top team in any league can compete with the top team in the SEC. I won't argue with that. I don't think there's a coach in this league that'll argue with that. What makes this league different is the depth in the league. Is, if you rate and say, hey, let's compare our leagues top to top and work our way down. Why don't you start bottom and work your way up? And all of a sudden, it's like, holy cow! When you get to the top, that's where maybe we can get even. But the other direction, the SEC is a tough league, and it's that depth within the league that makes it a challenge. You got to bring your A game every single week. There's not many places where you go where there's 14 fan bases that expect to win a champion or compete for and win a championship in a league. I think that's there's most of them in this league do think that they should win their side of the league. So.
Any final questions?
93. I was playing my senior year at Ursinus College. I was a senior. All Centennial Conference tight end. No, we didn't. We don't play. We didn't play 11 games. We didn't play 11 games. D3 ball. We didn't get 11 in. We didn't make the playoffs. Yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Have a great week.